What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this beautifully honest reaction.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel and the podcast. I've had so much going on this week. I just have been through it, but everybody's got opinions on Wendy, and rightfully so, and I completely understand. But we're going to get into some of these opinions, and some people are split on the opinions of some of these people, and I have my thoughts. But first, we're going to get into Funky Dineva, who we know, even though he is a commentator, a lot of people feel like when he gives the opinions on Black women, a lot of times it's just to hell. It's to the gutter. And some people are okay with it and said, look, this is just what he does. Y'all need to back up off him, get up off his back. But I did see recently he still is on Tamar Braxton's non-existent edges to say, y'all still ain't apologized to me for saying I did something to that Letty. And like I said before, I don't believe a lot of people were saying that he actually did something to her. A lot of people were thinking that, look, you were with her, and if she's saying that some crazy stuff like she implied happened to her, and then you came out saying the things that you said, some people felt like he knew more than what he was letting on. But anyway, I don't even care about that at this point in time, because both of them have their issues, but I still don't feel that he handled that situation the right way. But this ain't about that. This is about this. So let's get into what he had to say about Wendy.
And here's the unfortunate thing, Wendy. You fell victim to wanting to keep up with the Joneses for an expectation that you built in your head. Wendy, we never looked at you as the fashion girl. We never looked at you as the it girl. We never looked at you as the girl that drive nice. We never looked at you or expected you to be the girl that lived nice. That was never the box any of us put you in. So the fact that you fell victim to the materialism of it all is really baffling to all of us, because that is an expectation that only existed in your head. No one ever expected you. There's never been a day when anybody's been like, "Ooh, bitch, y'all saw that shit Wendy had on? Bitch, Wendy was giving." We never looked at you like that, Wendy. Like, honestly and truthfully, Wendy, you could have worn Levi's jeans and t-shirts out the pack, and you still would have been received the same. So to fall victim to trying to keep up, and then it was like a half-baked insurance fraud scam. And here's the unfortunate thing. Your husband is being disgraced and disbarred, which brings up another thing. You don't fucked around and got your mama kicked out the village. It's almost as if your mother's sole purpose in life was to birth a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. She put so much pressure on you to become what you did just so she could float around the village and have bragging rights that her daughter is a professor. Well, guess what? Her daughter's also about to be a felon. Lord, I bet your mama can't even take her garbage to the damn road, bitch, without getting the eggs of shame thrown at her ass. Everybody's laughing at you. They're going to laugh at you. I bet the mama probably self-deported. Baby, the mama probably said, baby, if you can't get me back to Africa, bitch, put me on a raft and ship my ass to Cuba. That's how quick your mama ass probably done ran out the village, the way you don't embarrass her. Not only down to the ground, bitch, down to the global satellites, bitch. This embarrassment is so bad, it went up into the stratosphere, and NASA beamed it all around the world. Your mama not even welcome back in Africa. She's so embarrassed about what you did. And not to mention, Eddie, them people already didn't want to fool up with your ass because they said you was from that cursed ass tribe. And just when that damn mama and family was coming around on that show, I bet that mama really hates your ass now, and she 100% feel justified for never coming around y'all ass because she believed that your ass was cursed, and bitch, you don't put this curse on her goddamn son. Do Jesus. Them Africans knew something, baby. You don't understand how you just fortified 200 generations of pettiness, because that lady gonna tell her daughters and granddaughters, when you know that lady knew your damn family was cursed, and you don't fucked around and dragged her son to the pits of hell and the pits of jail. No, God, honey.
All right, listen. Not saying some of the things that he said wasn't true, because I'm quite sure some of the things that, when it comes to the family dynamics, because if you watched Real Housewives of Potomac, you saw where Wendy talked about his family, Eddie's family pretty much disowned him when he got with Wendy, and he doesn't have a relationship with his family to this day. Listen, that stuff is deep, all that tribal stuff and all that, all, whatever. But listen, we don't know who all came up with the scheme. But what I will say is, when it comes to Funky Dineva, a lot of the things that when he talks about women, black women, because I don't hear him talking about white women like that. Let's be honest. I haven't watched him in a long time, so even the setup, I guess he has a set now. Cool. Okay. Got his glasses on, actually wearing a shirt, not just a little t-shirt. Anyway, he is calling women bitch a little bit too much for me. He's still a man. He may not wear the wigs and lipstick anymore, but he was for a long time. And, Funky Dineva is not even a female's name, but I'm just saying he's just calling women bitch a bit too much for my taste. But that's my personal opinion. And then the Nigerians thing and the scamming, I don't like the stereotypes either, because it's just like, I'm quite sure he doesn't like it when people talk about the stereotypical things about black gay men. So for him to say Nigerians can't help but scam because she and her husband, it's like, they, I would say they're not Nigerian scammers, they're idiots, because with the education and the experience that they have to try to pull off a scheme like this is just absolutely ridiculous. I don't get it. But yeah, he was right about her trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to put on appearances, because I talked about that from whatever the season was when she came on and she had her body done and all the other stuff. I did talk about that. And if I could find that video, because I've done lots of commentary just in, passing, I did talk about that. Even though I don't care for Giselle and Robin, they did have a point where they said that she was acting different. She was. But, with all that being said, it is what it is. He said what he said. And a lot of people had thoughts about it. Somebody said he act like she did fraud on him. My God, remove his mic. And somebody else said, actually, Wendy is the best dressed on Potomac. Somebody else said, I'm still team Wendy. And then somebody else said, your personality and the fact you were an educated colored woman that was showing us younger women we could do it was enough, Wendy. And somebody else said, Nigerians can't help but scam is a disgusting statement. And see, that's what I was saying. It's just that type of stereotypical stuff. Yeah, we've heard the jokes over the years about Nigerian scamming and whatever, but don't put that, because of what they did, don't put that on a whole freaking nation of people. It's just like he doesn't like the stereotypes about black gay men or gay men. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think about what he had to say. And speaking of people who had something to say that I just felt was ridiculous. Now, when I saw this, I just didn't have a chance to get around to doing it. And I'm talking about it now real quick. Sweet Tea, Letitia Lunsford, who was on Married to Medicine for 2 seasons. Now, while I like her, I did not like this. And like I've said over and over again, I might like somebody. It doesn't mean that I'm just going to stand for whatever they say or do, because it just doesn't make sense. She commented under a post that Nneka did on her Instagram after this Wendy situation popped off. So this is Nneka. She did this post. And then somebody else commented under it and said, and all her jury is accounted for. I am Nneka boo. And then somebody else commented, and she used to be on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, one season, got fired, Anne Marie Wiley. She said, when you actually live the lifestyle. And then she also commented and added another blogger who I believe also does not like Wendy. All about the tea. Vindication is so beautiful. But anyway, Letitia, Sweet Tea, she commented and said, "Your proof that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. They tried to dim the light, but God had other plans. Keep living beautifully, sis. My turn coming soon. Grace over gossip, surviving, thriving. Love you, boo." What is this? Like the cast of rejects coming together to encourage each other. What in the world does Wendy and Eddie going through what they go through have anything to do with God and saying that no weapon formed against you shall prosper? I can, this is girl, guy, whoever's listening, child. And listen, I'm not here to say anybody needs to rip a scripture out of the Bible, but that's one of the scriptures that I really wish people would stop using, because a lot of people, they use it in such an inappropriate manner. And a lot of people who use it really shouldn't be using it. And it has nothing, when they're referencing it to themselves, it has nothing to do with God, okay? Nneka, even though I didn't care for some of her ways either, because she was doing too much. She was team too much. I'm not saying that Wendy wasn't either a little bit when it comes to the situation with them going back and forth. And Wendy has a way, she definitely is not perfect, but what Wendy is going through and Eddie has nothing to do with Nneka. And then to try to make it about them because they were rejected while Wendy continued to stay on the show. Listen, all of these people, went from the slightest to the largest, have issues. All right. None of these people are perfect, but so many people want attention, and that's why they want to be on these shows. You know, I was not for the gang up on Letitia when she was on Married to Medicine last season. And yeah, I still feel that Quad does not need to be on that show anymore because it's just ridiculous. But to try to equate this situation to Aneka and then also herself saying, they tried to dim your light, but God had other plans. Keep living beautifully, sis. My turn coming soon. Okay. See, that's the type of stuff I'm just no. God had nothing to do with this. But Sweet Tea, she responded to it. Let's see what she had to say.
Come to light. Kim Parr pointed out comments under Neka's post implying Wendy's situation was vindication. Is it to you? I don't know. I can't say there's vindication about. I just felt like Nneka she wasn't treated fairly, especially being a new seasoner. I know what it's like. And people gotta be careful when they boast and they brag about what they have when they really don't have it. And so a lot of y'all don't know a lot of these Bravo characters. A lot of people, they're not really living that lifestyle.
I'm quite aware of that. I don't have to know these people to know that. I mean, absolutely. So she's not lying with that. I just felt that the post was inappropriate in the way that she put it. She could have liked the post. She could have even said, "I see you, girl," or just "love you," or something simple like that. But I don't know.
It's just, of course, you get addicted to the fame, and some of these people that's been on these shows, they have real jobs and all that, but they get addicted to the fame. And, that's why they say fame is one hell of a drug. To say constantly that she was like, I don't want to say that she was vindicated, but when you do people wrong, look what happened.
But see, that's the thing. Wendy and Eddie doing what they did has nothing to do with Nneka. And how did they do her wrong? Because Wendy doesn't have any power to get rid of anybody on that show, or to stay for that matter, because we don't know what's going to happen after the season is done. I heard they picked up the cameras again and they started filming even though the season's wrapped up, but I don't think Wendy's going to be filming. So I'm sure they put the cameras in the faces of the other women for them to react to the situation. And then I can already see Giselle, you know, with the smirk on her face and implying, trying to be careful because she knows that Wendy still has a large fan base and people are still rooting for her. Trying to be careful, but will make some sort of comments is like, well, when she first came on and blah blah, so I already can see that coming. But for Letitia to be like, well, yeah, vindication about what?
So you got to be careful when you mess with God's children. See, You can't continue to pick on people, disrespect them. Like, things will come to light eventually. Eventually. And so, like I said, like, you can't really wish bad on people. You just gotta allow God do his work and get out the way. That's not for you to do. That's for
People, and I'm not even going to play any more of this because people love to put God in these situations, and God is like, why am I in it? He's like that Nene gif. Why am I in it? I ain't even said nothing. And Satan probably is like that too. Why am I in it? I ain't even said nothing. I ain't even did nothing. Because this has nothing to do with God. And Nneka, she was weird. The whole situation, it was just weird. She came on being team too much. Wendy, she was team too much in a number of ways too, but you can't come on the show in that way, initially just starting out the gate coming for the other Nigerian woman. And Wendy probably felt that, and she already had her, had her thing up. I'm not Nigerian, I'm not in that culture, but you know that there can be issues when it comes to stuff like that. We already know about the caste system and all those other things like that. So I'm quite sure there's competition and stuff like that where all that's involved, but don't put God in it. And then don't even try to put yourself in it because that has nothing to do with you. And Wendy and Eddie's situation didn't even have anything to do with Nneka. It's not like, oh, you tried to dim her light. So now we're going to put some fraudulent charges on you and bring you down because you came for Nneka and got her off of the show after her first season. It's just stupid. Somebody said, Sweet Tea projecting her experience on Married to Medicine on other casts. T, please move on. And that's exactly what I was saying. I don't think that she was done fairly on the show on Married to Medicine. Agreed. But you can't put your situation, especially in this situation. That's just like asinine. Somebody else said, I'm sorry, but God doesn't move like this, period. I don't like when people weaponize scripture against people when something bad happens. Thank you. And that's what I was saying. Anyway, guys, I want to know what you think. So just let me know your thoughts in the comments. So initially, it was reported that Wendy was fired, but then she came out and made a statement that she stepped down, and now they've confirmed it. Wesleyan University confirms that Wendy Osefo resigned. Okay. And it says TMZ confirmed it. Dr. Wendy Osefo had been a distinguished visiting professor of sociology at Wesleyan University, but the school released a statement to TMZ writing simply, Wendy Osefo is no longer an employee of Wesleyan University. Wendy Osefo resigned last year from Johns Hopkins University. She later returned to teaching at a different school, Wesleyan University, where she recently resigned following her arrest. Reminder, an email from Albritton Center Director Kalila Brown Dean sent to students in Osefo's class explained that Associate Professor of Sociology Courtney Patterson Fay would take over teaching the class for the remainder of the semester. Neither the university nor Brown Dean responded to a request by the Argus for comment on Osefo's arrest. And so, yeah, so she did step down. But it would be, I don't know, maybe she should have let them fire her, or maybe she's like, I don't need the money like that. My name, even though her name is pretty messed up right now, maybe her name is one of those people, you can't fire me, I quit sort of situations. But sometimes you have more rights when you get fired than when you just quit. But I don't know, because my thing is, if she quit a professor job, because you remember when she was on the show and she had the lunch meeting with her mom, and she talked about how she resigned from her position, teaching just isn't in her anymore, and she just felt like she wanted to do other things. She had started that talk show podcast, which I don't know, did she do any more than a few episodes of that? And then she had all of that money invested into the candle line and whatever. And I don't know, it just seems like she just wanted to become like a socialite Instagram, beauty person. I don't know, guys. I don't follow these people like that, so I don't really know. But yeah, she resigned. And we're going to see where this goes from here, because this is going to continue to be talked about. I believe they have their their hearing next month sometime, where they're going to plead whatever they're going to plead. I just hope they have really great representation. And I feel sorry for the children. This was just crazy. I have some other commentary that I'm going to do about this, but I'm not going to do it, in this because this has already been going on longer than I anticipated. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think about what Funky Dineva had to say, Letitia Sweet Tea Lunsford, and Nneka, and then also her stepping down from her professor position. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.